And we are officially live, broadcasting only on onedealaway.com. My name is Nev, this is Money Matters, and today is Tuesday, October 20th of 2020. So 10, 20, 20, 2020. So, yeah. Today we have an incredibly amazing episode. There was a lot of things that have happened over the past weekend and over the last 24 hours since we chatted. Some of the stuff that has happened is that the IMF, World Bank, and the world leaders all over the globe, financial world leaders, let's put it that way, the central banks have met and talked about digital currencies. Can you believe it? And yeah, it was actually streamed live. And guess what? I definitely watched and attended, and I will tell you one thing. They are not necessarily saying, well, this is exactly what my digital token is going to be, but they were definitely talking a lot about digitization and how it can help them and what different countries are doing. So, whether you like it or not, I have been saying for years now, and I truly believe into this stuff. There's going to be a digital currency coming to a country near you. They're all working on it. They're all developing it. They're all researching it. There's not a single country that is not at least considering it. And on top of that, IMF, I believe, will be rolling out their own little digital thing. Again, I don't know for a fact, right? But you know how IMF actually comes in and helps. So I think that what they're going to do is, just like SDR that we have, the special drawing rights. That's kind of how I see it, but I see it doing digitally. Because when you do it digital, you can program that puppy to do all kinds of cool things, and I'm sure you already know that stuff. So we're going to be talking about this stuff, and since we're going to talk about the digital things, we're going to be also taking a look at what's going on within the stock market, within the cryptocurrency market. What are some of the news around the world? And then we're going to be discussing also very briefly and showing you the giant change of hundreds of trillions of dollars uh, um, uh, from LIBOR to SOFR. And you likely have heard about it, maybe not. Maybe you know what it is, maybe not. So we're going to be taking a look into all of that stuff. And so as you can see, we do have a ton of stuff to talk about. So without further ado, let's do this. All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome. If you are here watching this live on onedealaway.com, sign in, say hello. We're going to do Q&A as always, and you are super amazingly awesome for being here super early on a Tuesday morning. But if you're watching this elsewhere, for example, YouTube, because this is where 100% of these videos, okay, maybe 99.9% of these videos land on, then do me a huge favor. Smash the like button, subscribe, put the comments in. I do read them. Share this stuff, and that way you get notified every time this goes live and shows up. And why would you want to do that? Why would you want to come in and watch this live? Why would you want to, subscribe to the thing? Well, if you like the content, then why not, right? It doesn't cost you anything. It's one of the few things that are free in life. But, what I have actually noticed is that a lot of things that we talk about here on the channel that I share with you on the channel, we talk about way before vast majority of other people pick it up, and then I see it later on show up. Now, is it possible that because we are discussing it first? Sure. Is it also possible that my reticular activating system is now picking up stuff because we talked about it? Absolutely. So, but nonetheless, I think it's important that we do talk about of actions that you can take in what's going on here. And so that is one of my big goals, is that we don't just talk about what's happening in the markets, but we're also talking about like what actions can you take in your life, right? Because I think that that's also as important, if not even more important. All right, I'm gonna stop yapping. We have a lot of things to cover, and I tend to yap, take a lot of your time. Don't want to do that today. All right, Let's take a look at the crypto market. I wasn't planning on this being the first, but this is where we are. So this is kind of where the market is. As you can see, it is, well, it is doing it again. CoinGecko, you're doing it again, man. Okay, much better. But you can't see anything, right? But at least it's not moving. As you can see, Bitcoin is at $11,867.21. It has pumped, what is that? 3.8% over the last 24 hours, or 3.2% over the course of 7 days. ETH is actually not following suit, which is really interesting. Is still at that 350 to 380 kind of range, and right now is at 377.54, up only 0.4% and down 2.6% over the course of 7 days. This is very interesting of what's happening with ETH, and I look, I know it's not digital gold for Ethereum and stuff, but there's a lot of value, huge amount of value in this thing, because 90%, I would argue, I could be wrong, but vast majority, let's put it that way, vast majority of all of the tokens that you see are basically built on Ethereum. So the fact that Ethereum is not as valuable or doesn't have as high of a price baffles me, absolutely baffles me. But that's kind of where it is. Let's take a look at the 24-hour. Dash is up 12.9% over the 24-hour period. Nano up 7.9. OKB up 5.2. Quant 4.1. And then we get into the Bitcoin as the number 5 of the greatest pumpers of the 24-hour period. Interesting. Now on the dumping side of things, Aave, which was Lend and now it's Aave Old, which is really funny, is down 10.8%. Ampliford down 10.1%. Our wave 9.8, negative 9.8. Aave is negative 9.3. UMA negative 8.7. So you do see that there are quite a few things, but nothing like earth-shattering moves and changes. What I did want to share with you, this is kind of where I wanted to start the show, but it just didn't necessarily happen. Where did it go? Where did it go? Yes. Okay. Well, since we talked about this stuff, let's just go into this stuff. So an interesting piece is, as you might know, been talking about the CBDCs, and they're coming to the country near you, and we do have one that is actually out there. Not just is it coming, but they're actually out, giving this money to people, letting them test it out. People are using it, and here's what they're reporting. They have over 47,000 consumers in Chinese city Shenzhen spent 8.8 million yuan, or $1.3 million, during a week-long trial of China's sovereign digital currency. So this is incredible. This is absolutely incredible. So they have participated in over 62,000 transactions during the week-long trial in Shenzhen. There were 50,000 people that were selected by lottery to receive the red packets, as they call them, which basically contain 200 yuan, or $30. And there's 1.9 million people applied to take a part into this stuff. This is crazy, right? But if they're going to give you free money, like, why wouldn't you raise your hand? And that is exactly what I believe is going to happen. Not just, obviously we see it happen in China, but I believe that that's going to happen in Europe. That's going to happen in Australia. That's going to happen in, United States, in Canada, in Argentina. It's going to happen around the world, where everybody thinks that they're going to force you. And I keep saying that's not how it's going to work. What they're going to do is they're going to say, look, we'll give you $50, $100, whatever. Go and play, go and try it out, see how it works. And of course you're going to raise your hand and do it, because, if somebody was to offer you $100 or $1,000 or $1,000,000 or whatever, right? And just said, here, try it out. Of course people want to do it, right? I mean, we take, random stuff from strangers, in grocery stores to eat without even asking what the hay is in that food, who prepared it, and right? We don't ask any of those things because it's free. It's free. So of course you take it and you eat it, right? when we're given a free way to kind of try something, we do it. So when somebody gives you money for free, right, money for nothing, of course you're going to take it. I mean, when the United States government sent that $1,200 check, what did you send it back to them and say no thanks, but no thanks? No, of course not. I don't think anybody did. I think everybody cashed it in. So that's the way that it's going to roll out. And so, this is the way that I think it's going to happen. 62,788 transactions were made at the 3,389 designated shops in the city. So that's kind of how the whole thing rolls out, right? First, you have you create the environment, right? You set up the currency. You test it out kind of on your own to make sure that there's no bugs in the code and that kind of stuff. You try to break it. Then you go out and try to enroll some of the, local shops into the business, into the model, and have them play around in the test network. Then you roll out the real thing, right? But of course, you're still testing it, meaning you go from the test network onto the main network, but you are testing it because you are just getting small groups of people to try out different transactions, and you start slowly growing it to see, is it going to break if I have millions of people use it all at the same time? Because that's kind of what's going to happen, right? And so you're gonna try to grow it and see how it behaves, and people are adopting it, people are using it. Is it generating more economic stimulus, more economic activity than the other way around? And and so this is kind of how the thing is rolling out. So they just happen to be the first ones. I mean, Russia has been talking about it for forever. They haven't released anything. Putin did talk about the fact that he's like, I don't think that you can make a national CBDC currency because, if you use a public net and stuff, then it becomes everybody's. So I don't know that it works the same way. But that's not going to stop many countries from trying and from being able and from building it. So New Zealand is saying no CBDCs anytime soon. At least this is what the thing says over here. When you read it, you were like, oh, they're not going to do this. That is not what they're saying. What they're saying is we're researching, but we're not ready to roll it out yet. According to the Reserve Bank of New Zealand's Assistant Governor Christian Hawkesby, even though the bank is continuing to explore CBDCs, there are no immediate plans to launch CBDC in New Zealand, but they're well connected on the matter and will continue to closely monitor. One of the things that is interesting is that findings of the Bank of International Settlements on why more nations are looking into CBDC. So there was a report that rolled out, and of course, what are the benefits? Oh, there's so many benefits right now. Well, for one, it's cheaper, right? For one, it's cheaper, right? Because that paper, you have to have a paper, right? So paper costs money, ink costs money, the machine to connect the ink and the paper costs money. You have to pay somebody to do it. Then you have to cut the darn thing. Well, that's another machine that also costs money. Then you gotta put them in packages and count and stuff. That also costs money. Then you gotta ship them out to the big banks, who then have to ship it out to the small banks. Then these banks have to start. You can see the cost that it takes. Just think through the process. Now, let's go into the digital one. You still have to have some folks that are behind the computer coding, right? But once the code is developed and stuff, then it's about maintaining it. I get that, and of course you definitely have to maintain it. You don't wanna let this one go, right? It's too important to let go. So you're gonna have to continuously develop and monitor and build on and so on, right? But each extra bill is not going to cost you extra money, because for me, for right now, for them to print an extra $100 bill, it costs them money. Now, of course, a dollar bill and $100 bill, and way back when it used to be like $1,000 bill or $500 bill, those don't exist anymore. But it was the same price, right? So now it's the same cost, right? Because it's the same paper, same ink, same everything. So those dollar bills are very expensive if you think about them. Value versus the cost, of what can buy versus cost of producing. But now they're going to be able to actually program the money, which is basically, free. I mean, once you develop a system, it's basically free. That's the cool piece. Then you can, of course, depending on what they do and how they set it up, you can program it in such a way where, you can know exactly who has received which coin and how they have spent it. you can also program that coin to create basically an incentive for individuals to do certain things. So if you want them to save, right? If you want them to be savers, then you can basically say, well, as long as you hold it for more than 2 months, you will get extra 10%, and you're like, cool. So $100 means I get $10 in at the end of the whatever. Yeah, sure, I'll hold on to it, right? So that's the savings increase, or the incentive. Or they might say, you know what, we don't want you to save, we want you to spend, because we need to get this economy going. We gotta get this consumer thing on the road, man. So let's go. So what they'll say is that, in a month, your 100 cryptos or whatever it is, right, are going to be worth only 90. So you lose 10% in a month if you don't spend it. Well, that is going to motivate me to be like, forget it, man. I mean, I need coffee anyways, right? So I might as well just buy three, big old things of coffee, and at least I have that, because it's not going to expire, and I can, drink my coffee for next like 4 months or something like that. So there are different ways to motivate that right now central banks can't really do, because they're very limited of what they can do, right? They can, basically, lower the overnight rates, and, like, I don't know, maybe say they're going to purchase some stuff, but they don't actually purchase it, and get borrow some money into existence and give them to the large banks who are supposed to lend, but that they're not doing it. So their hands are tied. Their hands are tied of what's going on. Now, switching the sides of, like, with this whole like programmable money and being able to change it and being able to do different things. Of course, there's going to be a lot of things that once this rolls out and it becomes sort of wide, global thing, which is going to be a global thing, because like I said, every country is going to do it. It's just what they're going to choose and how they're going to do it is going to potentially be different. And I think it'll be kind of cool. I don't know that many countries will do it, but some might. Who knows? You never know of things. It'll be kind of cool if some of the countries uh, do something that a lot of the businesses are doing. Let me explain. So when the blockchain thing kind of started to develop and started to roll out, many people were looking into this stuff, and everybody was looking to build a private blockchain, right? Just for their company, like a hyperledger kind of thing, right? And so it was just for them. But since then, many companies are starting to look and say, well, wait a minute, we have these public blockchains that have been functioning for a long while. They're very secure, because more users means more security, right? So the greater the adoption, the more secure these things become. Now, there's of course scalability issues and challenges that I think folks are looking on to solve, and I'm sure that you're aware of it. That it could be sometimes slow and clunky, and not necessarily work, and the fees go really high, and but folks are definitely working on how do we fix this stuff, right? Think about it. This is such a brand new thing. It's only, some of these projects are only days old. Some of them are weeks and months. Some of them a few years. But nothing is older than, Bitcoin is the oldest one, and it's what, 10 years old. So let's be honest about kind of where we are. So I think that there's a lot of room for improvement, and the good news is many people are working on it. But it would be kind of interesting to see if the countries start going down this rabbit hole of private, only to come back and decide, like, wait a minute, maybe we should use a public blockchain. And that would actually be kind of cool. That would be really interesting. And of course, interoperability with between the countries and stuff would be very interesting. So let me know what you think about the whole thing and the idea. But I'm not saying they will do it. I'm just saying it would be kind of cool if that happened. All right. Well, we have a new study that found that the traditional companies are quick to adopting DeFi. And so here's what's going on. A study found 86% of the companies are implementing or evaluating financial services based on DeFi, and of course, security and lack of regulation still being hardest hurdles or biggest hurdles. So, in the joint report, Crypto.com and BCG Platinum basically have decided to, look at different companies and see what they're doing, right? And so more than 400 financial companies in insurance, banking, and trading across Europe were surveyed. So this is Europe only, right? It's not around the world. This is Europe only. To find out challenges, opportunities in the adoption of DeFi. What they are discovering is a rising interest in DeFi among traditional institutions, and a whopping 86% of companies are already implementing or evaluating crypto-based technologies to improve existing services. This is huge. This is absolutely huge, folks. And once they kind of do this stuff, this is the part that Raul Paul was talking about, that these folks are coming. This mass money is coming, and they're coming into not just DeFi but also Bitcoin. So both Ethereum and Bitcoin and all of these DeFi projects are poised to do incredibly well. Large multi-billion-dollar firms are also on board. Of the companies surveyed, more than 70% of them with a balance sheet above 10 billion pounds, or $12.9 billion. Do you understand? This is the part I was saying. These folks have money. And when I say money, right, I'm not talking like, oh, they're a millionaire. No, 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 no. This is tens, hundreds of billions, tens, hundreds of trillions for the entire world, because that is the direction that things are going in. And unfortunately, most folks not quite there yet. Most folks not quite there yet. And I'm not saying bet the farm on it. Lord knows, don't bet the farm on it. Don't bet the farm on anything. But, a little bit. A little bit. A tenth of a percent, a 1%, a 5%, a 10%, whatever you're comfortable with, because this is the part that is coming. This is the part that Raul Paul was talking about that is coming. This is the part that I've been saying about. You enter early when the wave comes in. I mean, you are going up. There's no fighting it. It is going to go up. And one of the things that I've been saying this very enthusiastically since February maybe. There's a video of me in the yellow sweater. That's right, in the yellow sweater pre-halving of 2020, where I was talking about it. And at that point, we were at about 7 or 8,000 US dollars per Bitcoin. Of course, then March came, which who knew? So, because that when I did it, it was either January or February, like probably late January, early February at the latest. Then March came, and then we hit kind of the dump down into the threes. But since then, we've recovered, right? And we are up. We are up, not quite 2x from the beginning of the year at that 8,000. But we're definitely up, and how far up we? Well, as I have mentioned earlier, is that the Bitcoin is what, at 11,800, something like that. So we're approaching 12,000. So not quite 2x, but it's it's approaching it. And is it possible that we'll hit 14, 15,000 by December 31st? Sure, anything is possible. I mean, if you look at 2017, when Bitcoin started pumping, it didn't start pumping into that stratosphere component up until like early mid-November, something like that, right? So Bitcoin is now 11,875, and it went up to like what, 20,000 by early January. So is it possible it's going to repeat that? Sure, anything is possible. Anything is possible, especially in 2020, as I keep saying. All right, so talking about Bitcoin, one of the interesting things that has been happening is that, as you know, Bitcoin has been following the stock market, and now we're seeing a shift in that. We're seeing the little bit of decoupling from the S&P 500. So what is going on right now is that you can see that Bitcoin has been displaying a bullish behavior lately, gaining more than 2% in the past week. It's actually more than 3%, as we saw it this morning. So of course this was written, what is today? Today is, it was written 5 o'clock their time, which I don't know where they're coming from. So clearly same date but different time, because it's definitely not 5 o'clock in the afternoon where I am located. So you can see that they're going up. Now what's been also happening is that BTC may indicate the changes that there's slow decoupling from traditional stock market as opposed to what industry analysts have previously concluded. So Bitcoin had a tendency to trade alongside traditional markets. When the stock market would pump, Bitcoin went up. When the stock market would dump, Bitcoin would come down. So it was very interesting that was going on. Now, what we're seeing is that stocks are going down, and we can actually take a look right over here. S500, right? Let's take a look. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. Sorry. You were supposed to be able to see what I was doing, and clearly that didn't happen. So S&P 500, as you can see, S&P 500 in one day has actually gone up, right? So it opened up much higher, and then it just started dumping down. And of course, in a 5-day, you can see that it's been actually going down. So this was Thursday. Friday, we saw a little bit of a bump. It kind of went down, opened up on Monday, and then dumped back down. So, still up over the course of a month. But you can see that the high was, a little while ago, and we've been going down since that time. Here it is. This is the September, right? And then we went into the dumped into stuff. Here's the October, lower highs, lower lows potentially. I don't know, but you can see that what is going on is that over the 5 days, S&P 500 has gone down, and what that basically means is that Bitcoin, which is pumping up, means that it's decoupling. It's we're seeing sort of like, okay, we're no longer friends. We're gonna go opposite directions, and that is good for us because we don't want to, potentially have everything correlated. You don't want to have assets where like everything pumps and everything dumps, because when things end up dumping, it's really hard to like shift to something else, right? Because you look at it and you're like, stocks are going down, bonds are going down, cryptos are going down, real estate is going down, cash is going down. Like right? So you don't want to do that. You want to be able to have different asset classes that you can play around that are not correlated and that trade differently. Now, an interesting piece coming from Morgan Stanley is that the S&P 500 market index is very likely to drop by 10% in the near term. He is saying, with so many uncertainties over the next month, meaning the elections and everything else, right? We think another 10% correction from Monday's highs is the most likely outcome in the near term before this market before this bull market can resume. So that's kind of where he stands on the entire thing. Of course, people are saying like, yes, Bitcoin's headed for the skies. Is it? I don't know. It is nice that it is moving on up, and I do hope that it's moving on up because, it helps me, it helps you, and it's always nice to have an investment that actually is doing well and performing. Of course, one would argue that stocks have been doing that for a while, which is, I agree. It just doesn't make sense of why they're pumping, and the companies that they're quote unquote representing, price per share and PE ratios and that kind of stuff, just don't compute for me. So is it possible that we're going to see some dumps? Sure, absolutely. Now, yesterday I told you that the World Bank has gone live, and they've been calling for Bretton Woods 2.0 thing, and they had the live streaming on their site talking about the digital currencies and expanding upon the digitalization, whatever the word is, of the central banks, and of course being able to make payments easier. That they're going to basically need to communicate and work with one another. That needs to be scalable. It needs to be basically cross-chain exchanges, because if I build US dollar over here, right, and you build a Canadian dollar over there, well, we still have to be able to trade, right? And what if you're saying, I don't want your US dollars, like I want Canadians? There's going to have to be exchanges that are built, right? So our exchanges are going to have to change. And if your blockchain and my blockchain are not interoperable, there's a huge problem here. So this is where the world of crypto right now solving all of those problems is really solving giant problems for every single person. Like, you think it's just the small thing over here for the, the DeFi people or the crazy people out there who are like, playing around in this new thing. No, 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 no. This is solving major and large problems that are coming potentially, and these, what is currently happening within the projects is that they are just resolving themselves right now. So I think that it's really important for us to highlight that, and for you to consider learning about what is going on. I'm not saying like become a developer or anything like that, but understand some of these projects, because again, if the government cannot figure out how to solve the thing, but they can find a company that solved it, they also have talked about increasing the public-private partnerships, where private companies are going to be asked to build certain things, and that's, there's benefit to it and there's scary side to it. The scary side is that you're going to have highly incentivized private company to potentially play around with your and my income, right? But the cool part is that they potentially could do something faster, better, cheaper, I don't know, than the government could, especially if they have been building it for a while. So anyways, they have had the whole annual meeting. It was out loud. If you could have watched it, you could have participated in it. The kitty has joined me. Hello, hello, hello. So if you see a tail, that's the cat right here. So he decided he wanted to be part of the show as well. And so it was a really nice show to kind of watch. I highly encourage you to go and watch this stuff. You can find a lot of their things on their website, which is worldbank.org. You can also, of course, find a lot of things from IMF, which is the imf.org, I believe. So now, talking about all of this stuff, we also know that there's a lot of uncertainty, and one of the things that I did want to share with you of the uncertainty piece, sorry, it's the cat and his tail, God love him. There's this article that was rolled out through Zero Hedge that talks about the central bank digital currency and the growth of repression tool. And of course, it's very there's a high opinion of it that there is there's a lot of people that are concerned about this stuff. I am one of those people, just because it gives a lot of power to the government. But then again, this is the direction where we're going, and so if you can't beat them, join them, kind of thing. And if you can't fight it, adopt it. So it's coming, and I think we just need to kind of get over it. Yes, sure, we can argue against it. We can freak out about it. We could write angry letters on the blogs, and it's coming. It's coming. It's not going to change. So just figure out the way of what you can do to benefit from the change of what is coming. Figuring out the way to benefit. Remember this guy? Yes, that's 50 Cent. And he basically freaked out on Twitter and said, "Forget it, man. Yeah, this is crazy." So rapper 50 Cent had taken to Twitter to endorse President Trump after losing his mind over the Biden-Harris tax plan, which would result in a top tax rate of 62% in New York City. Hold on, pause, let's stop, let's talk about it. 62%, right? Well, let's take a look at this. I'm a visual creature. Hopefully you are a visual creature as well. Do this with me. Do this with me, please. Okay, let's take a look at this. Let's say, right, a year has 12 months, right? 50% of 12 months is what, 6 months? I almost started to write 5, right? 60% is what? 7.2 months, right? So it's 62% or whatever. So 7 point, XYZ, right? So 8 months. So think about this. And I'm not saying vote or don't vote for Biden. I'm just saying this stuff is crazy. This stuff is crazy, which is why I'm like, I'm right there with 50 on this one. I'm sorry. I'm right there with 50 on this one. Because imagine, you wake up, right? There's you. You wake up. You take your little thing, right? You hail a cab, right? To go to work. Oh, this is an ugly cab, right? It looks like a spaceship, right? To go to work. and you do this Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, you're gone between 8 a.m. to like 7 or 8 p.m., right? Spending the best days, the best hours, going out there, trading them. And if you really do the math, if you're smart about doing the math over here, you work from January through August for the government. January through August, you work for the government. That is what 60 some percent tax basically means, is that you are working for 8 months. 8 months. All right? 8 months you're working to pay the government, and then, only then, in September, October, November, and December, 4 months out of the year is your money. 4 months out of the year is your money. Now, people are going to vote for it. People are going to vote for it because, whatever reason, because they don't understand it, because they don't care, because, they are looking at Trumpster and saying the man is crazy. Well, I think Sleepy Joe is equally as crazy, just different kind of crazy, right? I think we're all a little bit crazy, just different kind of crazy. Lord knows I got my own issues and challenges, right? So here is basically what he wrote. What the, I'm not going to say it, FCK, right? What the duck? Vote for Trump. I'm out. Duck New York. The Knicks never win anyway. I don't care. Trump doesn't like black people. 62%. Are you out of your effing mind? Super angry. And here is the photo that basically says Biden tax plan highs. Combined rate could hit 62.6% in California, 60% in New Jersey, 58% in New York State, and 62% in New York City. Keep one thing in mind. We have been talking over here that many people have been leaving New York City. What do you think is going to happen when the tax rate hits 62%? They're out. They're out. They are going to say the exact same thing right over here, right? F this, I'm out. Right? And I clicked on this stuff because now it's taking me over here. And yeah, people are like really, really angry about this whole thing, which makes sense, which makes absolute sense. And of course, there was a lot of comments on the whole thing, which, I can't do because I'm not logged in and stuff. But you can see that, he's like, no, forget it, man. I don't even care that the man is racist. I'm not paying these taxes. This is ridiculous. So there was somebody else that said, after a long discussion of who we were going to be voting for in the election, 50 Cent and myself came to the same conclusion. This is Brian Dawie, DJ, I guess DJ Brian. Clearly, I'm not cool. Clearly, I'm not hip. I know who 50 is, right? But because, when he was rolling out, I was also hitting the clubs still. I don't hit the clubs anymore. Unfortunately, there's no clubs that, start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So anyways, all joking aside. So anyways, then one of the interesting pieces that, they were talking over here is that, if Biden wins, 50 might want to buy a few more Lamborghinis to stoke his cash. It's an interesting piece. It's an interesting piece that is coming in. Folks are beating each other up left, right, and center. I don't know who's going to win. I have no clue who's going to win, but I do agree with 50. Are you out of your effing mind at 62% tax? Now, here's the thing. In Europe, there are many countries that the tax rate is 60 to 80%. But, I do want to acknowledge a couple of things. Number one, their health there is freaking free, right? So we're going to be paying the same rate that they're paying in, say, Denmark, for example. But in Denmark, if I get sick, the government will actually pay me really well, take care of me, take care of my kids, send somebody to come cook and clean for me, and all of my medical bills are taken care of. In United States, we don't have that. If I get sick, right, I may have like 10 days of sick vacation that they have graciously given me, and that's considered an amazing benefit. An amazing benefit in the United States is to have 10 days of sick time, right? After that 10 days expires, then I can go on basically unpaid leave. And then I can claim this like unemployment that pays me what, like $200 a week. That is not going to cover, like, not even food and heat, nonetheless, the rent and every other bill that I have, right? And then on top of that, I mean, God forbid you actually have to go to the hospital and get a surgery or transported by the ambulance. Forget it, man. Without a couple $100,000 in debt, you are not getting out of this one. And so this is the part where people are like, it makes more sense. Just let me die. Just let me die. Don't fix it. Just let me die because I can't afford to live. This is the part of the problem. And now you're going to tax me the same rate that they're taxing over there. But over there, I can get everything for free. Over here, the only thing I can get for free is, well, nothing. The only thing I can get for free is maybe a like. And even that, I have to ask for. Even that I have to ask for. So if you're liking this stuff, you're watching this on YouTube, hey, do me a huge favor. Do smash the like. See what I mean? Like, I can't even get it for free. I gotta do something to get a like over here. So anyways, let me know what you think about the whole thing. I absolutely agree with 50. This is absolutely crazy. I'm not saying vote for Trump. I'm not saying vote for Biden. I'm not saying, vote for anybody or don't vote for anybody. But I think it's absolutely ridiculous that we're going to have these like crazy rates, and it makes no sense. And then of course, look at down here, everything is red, everything is going down. So this is just crazy, y'all. This is just crazy. All right. In other crazy news, to finish strong, which is what I promised to talk to you about, is that the banks are switching well over $80 trillion worth of swaps from LIBOR to the SOFR. So that's what's going on. So SOFR is going to replace the effective federal rate in calculations that value swaps, in part to push make SOFR a U.S. standard preference in debt and derivative markets. And it's meant to replace a dollar LIBOR, which still underpins hundreds of trillions of dollars of assets such as mortgages in the U.S. and syndicated loans in Asia. The big ban follows a smaller scale pivot in Europe this July, a less complicated switch that occurred without much impact on the market. And of course, they already did this swap already over the weekend. They do a lot of swaps and a lot of changes over the weekend, and this is the part that I think is important for you to understand of what is going on, and that there's a change. Many people don't even know about the fact that SOFR is the new LIBOR and that LIBOR is going away. LIBOR is going away in 2021. Well, guess what's coming right around the corner, right after the election? Hey, right after the election comes Turkey. After Turkey comes the tree that is lit up. And then we all get lit up, and then 2020 comes in, but COVID will stay. Sorry. And who knows, they might cancel Thanksgiving and Christmas and getting lit up and everything else. So anyways, Silver Primer, transition away from LIBOR. LIBOR is the most commonly used benchmark for short-term interest rates, often referenced globally in derivative loan and loan documentation. An estimated $200 trillion of financial contracts and securities are tied to the U.S. LIBOR, and that matters to everyone. Now, why transition from LIBOR? Well, it's LIBOR is based on relatively few transactions. The most active tenor, 3 months, posts less than $1 billion transactions per day. And the problem is that it's unsustainable, but also what they're not putting it over here. But what I do know and can tell you is that they also have figured out that folks have been manipulating LIBOR to suit their needs, which does not always suit our needs. So since the last financial kaboom in 2007-8, they basically said this has got to go, something new has to come in. So of course they show up. Now, they are coming in, they are basically coming, SOFR is the recommended alternative reference for the rate for the US. While LIBOR is not fully transaction based, SOFR is based on the overnight repo market with $1 trillion of transactions per day. And of course, the publication of the SOFR rate began in April 2018, but nobody was doing much of anything with them. Now they're actually doing the stuff and starting to switch things over. And of course, they have to switch over all of the different contracts. So that's a new thing that is coming in. So you can see the differences over here of what's going on. Risk free versus bank lending rate, overnight versus and backward looking versus forward looking, collateralized versus uncollateralized. And of course, it's calculated and published daily by the New York Fed, as opposed to published and calculated by ICE benchmark administrators, which is how the whole thing was actually, it was estimated, and that's how they basically cheated with it, so to speak. So now we go into the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, and we're going to go in and take a look. And right over here, let me make this a little bit smaller so you can actually see the whole thing. Right over here, you can actually see the daily rate right over here, right? And let me make it smaller so you can see the entire table. All right, maybe that's too small because now I can't read it. My gosh. Okay. So you can see that what the rate is, and we've been, basically 0.09% is the rate. Here and there you see like tick up ever so slightly to 0.1, right? But we've seen it down to 0.06, 0.07, but overall predominant rate that you see is 0.09. The first percent, so the percentile broken down, you will see that it's 0.0, on the high end 0.07. On the low end, I see it at 0.03. I mean, that's basically zero. You're literally, you're borrowing money and not having to pay anything back. I mean, you have to pay the principal back, but like the interest is super small. The 25% is slightly higher, 75, and then 99%. You can see that it's much higher. It's actually, just shy of 0.2%. So overall, this is kind of where you can see of what's going on. You can read more about it. One of the things that I thought was really interesting is this chart right over here. We can zoom in actually on this one, and you can see this is the secured overnight financing. Can't read it. Hold on, I'm sorry, y'all. Can you read it now? Yes, financing rate is the blue line right over here, and the black line is the volume. And so we have a year to date. So from January of 2020, you can see how the secured overnight financing rate was like basically holding steady above 1.5. Like, yeah, of course, there's some noise and stuff. And then just look at this stuff once we enter the March. So this is March 2nd, right? March 3rd. And then we go boom. It heads down to March 9 to just over 1%. Then it went up slightly higher in, what does this look like? March 12th, and then just kaboom, went down into basically zero. And then since then, it's kind of has been like slightly, ever so slightly raising up because, on March 27th, for example, the secured overnight financing rate was 0.01. And, in July, for example, was 0.13. And right now is 0.09, as we saw a moment ago. And you can see what's going on over the course of a month. So you can see that the volume is basically more or less staying steady-ish. And the rates are, sort of going on up, right? If you look at it from the September 23rd, the rates are definitely up. One of the other things that I failed to mention on the year to date is you also want to see that the volume since basically March 18th, when we were just about to hit that 0.02, is definitely on a downtrend. It's definitely going down. You can see the trend clearly if you look at the chart. So there you go. This is what I had to cover today. As you can see, a lot of stuff, a lot of really important stuff. So hey, do me a huge favor. Smash the like button right now, subscribe, forward it on to the friends, tell others about it, tweet about it, Instagram about it, Facebook about it. Whatever you can do to help me help more people and spread this message, that is going to be amazing, because people need to know what's going on, and a lot of large changes are coming in, and people don't always understand what's going on. I'm not saying that I always understand what's going on. I don't. But I'm trying, and I'm trying to explain some stuff that I do understand and that I do can see, to help you out. So Thank you for watching. If you subscribe and hit the bell button, you'll get notified tomorrow so that I can see you tomorrow. Until then, stay forever money blessed, and do remember, you are only one deal away.